Alright, so here I'm going to be doing a bit of a coaching session for one of the players on the purple side, which is Soraka. So I'm going to give you guys an idea of how to play the support and generally how to learn Soraka as a champion. So as I was saying a minute ago on my stream, basically what you want to do is go to a reputable guide site like Solo Mid and find a pro's explanation of the champion. Now it's not, if you go to a pro's guide, it's not a guarantee that the guide will be high quality, but it's going to be a lot more likely, so that's why I suggest that. And really don't focus too much on the items. You can just basically copy whatever their normal build is for the items and runes and masteries. And what you really need to focus on is mechanics and general gameplay. So you learn mechanics by reading what each ability does and reading an explanation on the guide on how to optimize the abilities. And then also as far as skill order, you just copy that just like the items. So these are things that when you get a little bit better at the mechanics, you can start thinking about different skill choices. So like when you really understand like what the skill does, then you can say, okay, now I understand that I should get maybe silence at level 1 in this fight, or astral call in this fight, or heal at this fight. Alright, so the first thing that I noticed is that our Soraka, the guy we're following, he got silence at level 1, the mana regen. He should actually get the heal. That's a lot better at level 1. 1, it lets you trade. 2, like, since he's with a Twitch, he can't really use the mana that super effectively. As I was saying before about the trading, if he gets dive level 1, he definitely wants the heal. I do suggest exhaust heal is also a viable choice. Again, as I was saying about runes masteries, summoners also apply about things that you don't really need to think too much. Here's another reason why heal is better. He could heal this guy and prevent a lot of damage. And the heal is really amazing on Soraka because not only does it give health, it actually gives a ton of armor. So just think about that when you're playing. He's playing way too far up. He doesn't have wards in this bush, so as you can see here, the AD carry is vulnerable. And as a support, a general strategy for supports in general is you need to get control of these brushes. If you don't have control of these brushes, if there's an aggressive support on the other team, they can just stand right here or do stuff like this, and you lose control of the lane, and your AD carry can't support anymore. So your job as a support is to take control of the lane. The second thing you need to generally think about as a support is, do I harass or am I going to play passive? And it's actually really straightforward to figure out. You basically just say, what does my champion do? And this is a perfect example. I was talking before about lane control, or brush control. This guy didn't have control of the brush, so Lee Sin was able to walk up to the AD carry and basically just kill him for free. So, make extra sure you have control of the lane. How does he have blue? Okay, I'm really confused. Oh, I guess Twitch stole the blue from Malphite. Awesome. It's pretty troll. Alright, so continuing back to looking at our support, you should try to, whenever you get the chance, you really need to focus on getting a CS. And if you're Soraka and you don't have AD runes, he should definitely be considering a lot more. Look, I don't need to harass as much. That's not really my job here. I just want to get as much CS. So a note about getting CS under the tower. The tower takes 1 hit before it kills the range creep. So let the tower hit it once and then try to CS it. And the melee take 2 at full health. And then if you keep that in mind, you'll start to get more CS into the tower. So just think to yourself, I'm going to let the tower hit the range creep once, and then I'm going to try to CS it. Alright, what else? Okay, so also going back to CSing under the tower, if you're the support, you can actually help prep the range creeps. So if Twitch doesn't have enough damage to one-shot the melee creeps after the tower hits it once, hit the range creeps once, so that Twitch can then last hit it. So that's the idea of prepping. And the same goes for the melee creeps, if you need to. Okay, so try to stay in tune of what your AD carry is doing. So if your AD carry is playing aggressive, you need to support him. walk up, try to get a couple autos off. That's something that I think is hard to remember to do with Soraka, that actually your autos do a lot of damage, so remember to put your autos when your AD carries harassing. Later levels, getting the autos is less important because you do such a smaller percentage of the damage. Alright, so again, this is the idea of brush control. They don't really need to ward this river that much unless they want to push out, because as you can see, the lane's getting pushed in, but you do need to ward this brush here. Alright, so again, just trying to CS as much as possible, and just be aware that you don't have wards too. Like, standing up here is really risky, or it's fine because they're not pushed out past this river, but standing up far is really risky. And here's another reason to get this brush control. Udyr can, if there's no wards here or here, Udyr can come up through here and get a gank. So that's why you need the brush wards. Alright, so another thing about Soraka, just here's the mechanics. Skill that you need to understand is that you want to wait until the harass starts before you use your W. So as soon as the harass starts, put it on, like you should put it on Twitch now. So yeah, so that was him just not supporting his AD carry. So yep, so just should put it on the guy that's getting hit. So that's pretty simple. So this guy should be dead. Good job. And I don't think that Soraka did anything particularly wrong after she let Twitch die in that part of the fight. She should try to be very careful so that she doesn't get. Okay, that's really dangerous. Yeah, there's no reason to silence there. You don't. If you're low, you need to be very careful about using your or like walking up basically. And always, so yeah, so putting these silences on Lee Sin are not worth it. The silence doesn't do that much damage, and yeah, you're not going to kill Lee Sin. And the other thing is that you're risking yourself getting killed. Alright, so we continue looking at our support here. As I was saying before, it's 2 hits, so you should wait 1, 2, and hit now. So that's just something that you learn as you practice. And you can do it with a support. So just even as support, try to get last hits when your AD carry is dead. And he needs to, since this is going to push out now, always try to ward as your support. So yeah, so he doesn't need to stand back. I don't know what he's doing. Okay, good. Yeah, so if it gets pushed out past the river, which it's going to, he needs to ward like here or here. So let me just show you the ward spots here. So this is a good ward spot. This is a good ward spot. It gives you less vision, but he has to actually put the pink in here. So at lower levels, if they get pinks, they might not realize that if you put a ward in here, you have to put the pink inside the bush to deal with a ward. So that's what he should be doing. And just in general, don't be aggressive if you don't have ward coverage. So that was good this time. He put his heal on the guy that was getting hit. So also as Soraka, you want to be playing further back. You don't need to stand up in the front. You do need to get close if you want to Starfall. So this is the one hit. Remember, as I said before, from the tower, and then you try to last hit it with your if you're the AD carrier or even the support, that's fine too. So again, no brush control. So like he can't push up here, and they have complete lane control here. So this is complete. The idea here is that there's complete lane dominance. And understand that if you play Soraka, you can't do that much about lane dominance. It's entirely, like, as a support, it's entirely up to the AD carry, because as Soraka you have no aggressive abilities. You can't like land a Q and hit them like Lee Sin can, or if you're Leona you can't dive on them, or if you're Blitz you can't pull them. Those are active supports, and that they can influence how the lane turns out. And Soraka can influence the lane, but not in an active way, in a passive way. So she just has to back up whatever the support does, so she should be healing whenever he goes in and keeping him topped off. So general idea of active versus passive support. There actually aren't very many passive supports. Janna's pretty passive. Okay, so he's taking too long to heal. It might be on cooldown. I didn't think it was, but yeah. So maybe it was on cooldown, but yeah, he should heal the second they start poking him. And also, it's fine that that's happening. Alright, so this is getting pinged for some reason. And you can see, this is, even though Soraka's not active, the fact that she can keep Twitch high health makes eventually gives them an advantage in the lane. Because if they're trading, which you should be doing if you're the AD carry or in a Soraka lane, but you have to be careful about it. Like, you can't all in basically. Okay, so this is an opportunity to talk about. It's called different people call it differently, but it's called orb blocking. It comes from Dota, and the idea is you saw there that they basically stood still while they were shooting Lee Sin, and what you want to actually be doing is running with Lee Sin, trying to hit him once, then run again, then hit him again, then run after. So you run with him, so that way he can just basically walk away. And this is good. I wouldn't say this is like the best ward, but you have to put this ward down if you're gonna push. It's not critical, so he needs to ulti. So Soraka, yeah. So Soraka can just heal this guy up. So yeah, trading really good. He should as Soraka you can let your AD know that hey, you don't need to back. I can heal you. Try to bait also with Soraka, so I do suggest healing as much as possible, but if they look really aggressive like this, you can actually understand that, hey, I've got an ulti and I've got a heal, so if they try to go aggressive on me, I should respond with my spells. So don't he shouldn't waste his E in the lane if he thinks they're going to be aggressive. He should just save his spells for when they get aggressive and then counter whatever they're trying to do. I need water. My throat is done. Alright, so continuing on. Once you get to this point where the turret's dead, you have a couple options. You can push, or you can freeze. And the way you can tell if a lane is gonna freeze is you just look at your lane and you see, hey, do I have more creeps or do they have more creeps? If you have more creeps, then you have the option of freezing, and what that means is nice. Alright, so I'm just gonna watch this fight here. Yeah, they didn't have wards or anything like that, so it's really risky to do that. And you need ward coverage to and kind of know where everyone is on the map before you do risky fights, because as you saw, even though it looked like everyone was low on their team, it turned into basically a 2v4. So yeah, so don't play aggressive as a general rule unless you know where they are. And the way you do that is you get wards, or you put pressure on the map. That really gives people an idea of where people are. Alright, so we're just waiting for people to respond. Try not to spend too much time in the whatever this thing, the pool, the Nexus thingy, because you're wasting XP and potentially gold if, say you're the AD carry. So you should also understand that if your buff's up and the lanes are pushing, someone's going to take them. So go to your buffs if the lane is pushing. Alright, so Soraka has some options here. As I said before, you can freeze. The AD carry can decide to freeze, or he can push. Pushing just means trying to get this tower down ASAP, and that's kind of really what you want, but if the AD carry is behind, he can catch up on CS just by last hitting and not doing anything but last hitting. Alright, so again, if you don't have wards, don't play aggressive. General idea. Yeah, so he's gonna live. That's awesome. He should live. Soraka, so if you're keeping an eye on the matchup, Soraka needs to block stuff. So she should stand in front, or stand right behind Twitch during that. So if you're playing against someone's skill shots, like Lee Sin, you can actually block their skill shots by putting your body in front of them. Another way to do that, let's say you're playing against Blitz, that's a lot more common support. You just keep your body between yourself and the Blitz and the AD carry. So let's say this cannon is Blitz, you want to keep yourself between that, your body between that and the AD carry. So if this is the AD carry, this is kind of what he would want to be doing, forcing the AD carry to walk very strangely. Well, that's what you would want to do. And this is actually a nice thing to do as a support. He basically pulled the creeps out, and I don't think he did it intentionally, but and that was just so that Twitch could get as much CS as possible. So he overextended. He doesn't have wards. You can't walk up like this and expect that to be okay from the support. So just pay attention when walking into bushes. Don't face check bushes if you don't have wards. Or yeah. So that's just the general idea. Here it's about to happen again. Face checking without wards. And I would say, as a support, you really need to do this. Like, you have to think about this. Put wards down. And does he have? Yeah, he has a set stone, and he hasn't used it. So that just makes the item super not useful if you don't use it when you have it. So you should make sure you do that. Nice. And the reason that this whole thing happened was because, as you can see, there was no wards, and they couldn't have done this. Like, they probably would have tried to do this because it's low ELO. They would have tried to camp this bush. But if you had this warded, or you had the entrances to your jungle warded, and they tried to do this, Lux would have come up, put her EW combo down, her EQ combo down, and everyone would have died. Like, Malphite would have ulted in, Lux would have ulted in, and if you had this ward here, that would have happened basically instead of the other way around, where they face checked the bush and died. As a support, you don't have as much control over this, but you want to make sure generally that the lanes are pushing and to take down objectives. As you can see, it's 16 minutes in, and in a higher level game, all these, and let's say this, you can see this team has like a 5k or 4.5k gold lead. If that was the case in higher elo, all these turrets would be dead. And that's a very common problem I see in lower elos, is that they never go for objectives. So if you get an advantage, always try to secure a turret off of that. Alright, again, as I was saying before, support, she has wards, she even sells her explore wards. Don't just stand around and don't put down wards. She doesn't need to be here, she can go mid lane, she doesn't need to babysit the AD. And generally, yeah, so like at this stage of the game, she doesn't need to be here. The AD can do this by himself, he doesn't need her here, and she can be more effective elsewhere on the map by putting down wards, roaming, helping out mid lane if it's getting pushed in, and things like that. Alright, so just continuing along. Oh yes, water. Alright. Okay, so Soraka, again, you can see the effectiveness of the enemy wards. Conversely, they have wards in their jungle, and the purple side does not, so the blue side gets an advantage. It's a lot easier for them to gank. They know Soraka's here, and they could have set up a gank because Soraka doesn't, or the purple side doesn't really have wards down. So that's the general idea about warding. And you can encourage you can actually make a lot of plays as the support just by using pings. That's the way you can really be a team player. You say, hey, look, they're diving mid. Hey, people need to go mid. All right, that was a good choice of the ulti. I think that she didn't use her W and E optimally, so that's just something you'll learn as you pick it up. And she doesn't. Let's see if she has Q. Yeah, she never leveled her Q. I would suggest always to get at least one level on it. Try to get a better idea of how the fight is going. So like, when you see the fight is losing, run away, and if you see the fight is winning, then you can stay. So Soraka basically overextended there and had to run away. So she should ping, so this is how you can help make your team improve. You say, okay, is there a lane that can be farmed? Yes, there is, and Twitch is going bottom. That's really inefficient, so ping Twitch bottom. That's how you can really help your team out. And as a support, you don't need to be there yourself. You can just say, hey, Twitch, go bot. She could have saved him maybe a lot of time and quite a bit of CS because she just told them to go bot. And also, as a support, you can ping Dragon and say, look, I'm going to get a pink ward. Guys, let's go to Dragon. It's going to be free. It's free gold, so let's come. And as a support, this is good idea. I've seen it lower ELOs, like people stand up here, like really near to the creeps, but you have to understand that you're really weak, so you need to be passive. Use your W a little sooner, so make sure you react a little faster. And I don't really know how to explain how to react faster. Just practice will help you react faster. And you can't really, like, your reflexes are at at a set speed. They can't be like, you can't get faster reflexes, but you can practice so that your reactions are the right reaction to the response, basically. Again, I was talking about being pushed up too far. This is way too far. As a Soraka or a Lux, you need to be, and even the AD carry, these are all 3 similar champions that need to have similar move, or be in similar spots. You guys need to be way further back, basically. Alright, so easy kills here. As Soraka, you should be putting your W on this guy, so he's going to be the guy that's tanking, so put your W on the guys that are tanky. And so she should put it on Twitch. Twitch is going to be the one that's probably going to get hit. Or this girl. Yeah. So yeah, just think about how you're going to use your spells. I would actually even go as far to say as hesitate at lower ELOs. You have the time. People aren't going to punish you too much for this. Take your time. Like slow the pace of the game down. This is the power of wards here. They should be able to get him. Nice. Yeah, so just, just calm down, try to slow the pace of the speed of what you're doing down so you make conscious decisions. The more you practice, the faster you'll get at it. And so yeah, so just, if I'm Soraka, I'm just gonna, just try to calm down as much as you can. And you don't have to have like the most amazing reflexes to make really good decisions, and that's really what you need to practice, making good decisions. So think, is this a good idea? Can we fight this? Who am I going to put my stuff on, or who am I going to put my spells on? Alright, still no Q, and also she maxed E, so this is again a build order mess up, and I said it's really easy to fix that. You just go to solo mid or something like that, and you copy their builds. Alright, let's do a quick minute about warding as a support. Alright, so let's say I'm purple team. How do I decide where I ward? Is this a good way to ward? I think it's pretty clear that this is not a good way to ward. A lot of these wards overlap, and so you're losing vision by putting these wards here instead of somewhere else. So if I put one ward here, and one ward here, or here, this might be a little better at this point of the game. So one ward here, and one ward here. There's no way that they can get into this side of the jungle. So that's why the warding here and here is a lot better than warding like this. And conversely, warding here and here is going to prevent any invade to the jungle. So they can't get in. I would actually ward the try here because they can come up through the lane and then sneak through the jungle. So yeah, so this is the basic idea behind wards. Making it so the enemy team can't sneak up on you. And conversely, also showing where the enemy team is so you can sneak up on them. And to do that, you want to optimize coverage of the map. So it only takes four wards. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 wards to cover all entrances to your map. And that's not that expensive, and it's going to give your team a huge advantage. So that's the idea behind ward coverage. And there are 2 types of ways you can think about warding. Am I going to ward aggressively, or am I going to ward defensively? Defensive wards are designed to protect your jungle. So you do that when you're losing the game, right? So you place a ward on all the entrances to your jungle. When you're running away, run towards your teammates. So that was really good. She paid attention to where Nasus was and didn't run this way, but actually ran back towards Nasus. So always take a quick second. As I said, slow down. Don't face check bushes. General idea there. But yeah, slow yourself down. Just consciously make the decision to slow yourself down. And I understand that yes, you might just stand there for a second and not do anything. But add the speed after you make the right decisions. Don't keep practicing bad decision making, because that's what you're going to internalize, and it's going to be really hard to improve as a player. Yep. So think a minute. Should I tower dive this? Does that make sense? Is this a good fight? And if it's not, back out. Trust that what you're doing is right. So yeah. So I think, as I said, they're getting too focused on getting kills. They need to think about what they're doing. And if that means that they are moving a little bit slower, or like don't have optimal reaction times and stuff like that, that's fine. Like, you need to practice doing the right things. So here, she got, as you saw Lux there, she got, like, I think she got really nervous and was, like, trying to flash, and she practiced, basically what got internalized there is, if I'm here, I'm going to flash here. And that's not what you want to get into your fingers, basically, when you practice. You want to practice, hey, I'm going to run here, and then flash over here. And that happens by slowing yourself down and practicing the right things. Here's a common thing for sports that's a problem, is that you think that you're invincible or something. Understand, at the earlier stages of the game, you're quite strong, but at the later stages of the game, you blow up in like half a second. Yeah, so she thinks she's too strong and she's overextended. She needs to run. And understand what that means. What it means to be weak. It means not that you don't do anything in team fights, but you stay here most of the team fight. Like if this is the minion wave, you stay back here, and you only use your abilities on the people that are close to you. You don't run up in the middle of the team fight. If you're weak, if you're strong, conversely, and you're not weak, your position changes. And you can see that the way people play. It looks like people actually look more aggressive when they're closer to you, and they seem weaker if they're farther away from you. And that's how you should play. You should play like you're weak if you're weak, and strong if you're strong. Again, this is the issue here is ward placement. I think, as I said before, this team, you can see they're quite a bit ahead. They're about 5k gold ahead. And therefore, that's how you know, okay, we need to be putting defensive wards. And defensive wards means wards that cover the entrances to the jungle, or even inside your jungle if they're, if they got these towers down. If they have these towers down, you need to start warding not only like the entrances to your jungle, but this brush here, so they can't sneak up on you. But see, as far as again where they need to ward, they don't need to ward that far back because they have these turrets. These turrets determine basically your warding spots. This is really risky. So she should run towards her team. That's good. Always run towards your team. But yeah, she shouldn't have done that in the first place. And she's not thinking. She's not thinking that, hey, look, we don't know where the team is. We don't have ward coverage on them. Therefore, we can't, play really aggressive. And just be patient. Just wait till they show up on the map. They will. They can't just do nothing for the whole game. And then respond to that. Alright, so as a support, or really anyone, if you have someone that's splitting, hopefully they'll tell you. And if you split, you should let your team know. Say like, hey, look, I'm splitting, just understand that, guys. And if you understand that, you know that you can't walk up in front of this minion line. You'll get caught, they'll pick you off, and you'll die. If you see someone going back, you're behind in a team fight. You shouldn't even let them have the option of starting a team fight on you. And the way they have the option is if you stand up in front of the minion line. So don't do stuff like this. Basically, at any time there, the enemy team could have initiated a fight, and it would have been a huge disadvantage to purple side. Alright, again, the ward coverage seems to be a pretty constant issue with this player. Is that you want to place the wards that'll give your team the most information, basically. That's what you're trying to do. Give your team information. And so for this word, this doesn't really give your team that much information. The only time this word is going to be effective is if someone walks through here. And people don't walk through this area that much. So that's why this word is less effective than this area. You can see right now this guy, he just walked through there. If the enemy team has an oracles, that doesn't mean you don't buy wards, it actually means you buy more wards. And that's just to deal with the oracles. Again, the support, I think she was trying to bait there, which is fine if you're consciously thinking, hey, I'm going to bait. But yeah, she should not be pushed up. Pay attention to your health bars, and don't push up if you're this low. Okay. Again, look, I think that everything in this game, like all the plays in this game had to do something to do with wards. Either, one team didn't have wards, so the other team could sneak up on them, or two, see if they get a kill here. Nice. Oh, Lux is doing really well. As I was saying, either like the one team doesn't have wards and gets ganked by the other team, or like someone tried to put a ward down and died. Always check to see if you have tower aggro. As before I was saying, like, think about who you're putting your skills on. If Soraka hadn't put her heal on this guy, he actually would have died. So that's really good. Alright, so Soraka needs to... probably could have saved him. Oh, I'm not sure. Alright, so... this is another issue that I think happens a lot at lower elos, is that people don't group. Even though split pushing is like an effective strategy, I think you'll be surprised if you convince your team to group as 5, you'll actually start to win a lot of games. If you're able to convince your team that, hey, look, let's just group as 5. I got wards, I've got pinks, and I get an oracles. As a support, you can do this. It's like you just ping places there. Say, I have an oracles, I have pinks, I have wards, and stuff like that. Your team will understand, hey, this is actually a valid argument of why we should group, instead of, don't say stuff like, hey, idiots, let's group. That's not an effective way to lead your team. You kind of lead by example by getting that oracles and saying, pinging, wait, just being patient, waiting for your team to group with you. You know, that's another thing that I've seen an issue with trying to get your team to group, is that, you know, you'll ping, you wanna group somewhere, and then you just suicide into you face check into a bush basically and die, because you understood that this was the right strategy, but you just have to be patient with your team to do that. So face checking is an issue. Alright. So here's probably another fight that's going to have to do with ward issues. As you can see, pink side or purple side doesn't have wards in the right spots. If you want to prep for Baron as a support, here's generally what you need to do. You can ward this push. There's 2 places you have to ward. You have to ward here or here. And the reason is that this gives you information on both sides, both approaches to Baron from blue side. So if they're blue, they have to come through here, or potentially here. And there's almost 0 chance that they're going to come this way. It is possible, but I wouldn't worry about that too much. Conversely, if you're on blue side, you need to ward this side and this side. So you see a ward on the tri-bush and this bush, if people are going to do Baron. And then you clear out all the wards, and the other team has to come. So that's one way you secure the game. If they don't come, you just take Baron. If they do come, you stop doing Baron and you kill them, or if you have enough time, you kill them. Or sorry, you finish Baron and then kill them. As far as sweeping for wards, I think the more you play as support, the better idea you'll get of where people ward. So this is a very common place to ward if people have oracles. And conversely, if you need to ward somewhere and they have oracles, put it in this bush. It's a less obvious spot, and you want to put the wards in spots that still give good vision. They won't be as optimal because the people with oracles are going to check all the optimal spots. So like this bush here is like a pretty optimal spot, and if you have oracles, you want to sweep this bush. You want to sweep this bush, obviously here, because most people understand that. If they're doing Baron, like this is obviously another spot, and this spot here, and this spot. So these are all very common ward spots, and as soon as you get oracles, make sure you actually sweep all of them. There's no point in getting oracles if you don't actually sweep any wards with it, because it's just useless. And also, don't get an oracles if your team refuses to group. You can clear out, like, it is worth it if you think the enemy team is like warding really deep into your jungle and you're getting ganked. But otherwise, it's like you can see that this was a complete waste of money, because the oracles is really going to expire before anything useful is going to happen with it. Alright, as I said before, if you think you have an advantage, group up. And just from, even though the enemy team has the blue team has more actual gold, the team fighting ability of the blue team is a lot worse. So I think it is pretty safe for them to group up and try to push. Alright, so the question you might ask is, well, how do I push down this turret? First, check the map, see where the enemy champions are. We know that we've actually seen that 2 of the champions were split. They can't see what we see, but yeah. So that's the basic idea, is first look where the champions are. Second, don't dive turrets unless your team's all on the same page. You're just gonna die horribly. And if you have an advantage, then you can actually dive. Alright, so this is, Soraka did a pretty good job, but as I said, positioning was an issue for her. She needs to be really cognizant that if she is the support, she has to be very careful about how she positions. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video about explaining how the support works and also general tips for Soraka. Please remember to subscribe and comment. Thank you so much.